The second important aspect of this video is make you think about how to break a stereotype or stereotypes without creating another one, right? And here I'm using what we saw last week connected to the UN Women advertisement related to gender discrimination. And the Google automatic search was women should stay at home, right? So let's say you are very shocked by this and you decide to work on that stereotype. Well, be careful, because you might create another stereotype by focusing just on one side, right? So let's say if you decide to break this stereotype that women should stay at home and take care of the family, the new stereotype you might create is that men should stay at home and take care of the family. So to avoid creating a new stereotype, you need to think about all sides, right? And it might not just be one side. But if you focus only on one side or one aspect of the stereotypes, you force or you create a stereotype for the other side, or sides actually. So here what I'm trying to tell you is, yes, you have a stereotype, but you need to think about who else is involved in that stereotype. To show you more specifically what I mean by not creating another stereotype, I would like to share a video made by a student about beauty in 2014. And the video is called "Perfection is the Disease of a Nation." First, this video has a wonderful personal connection, right? So the student who made it had a very powerful connection to the theme of beauty. And again, the second part of your article will be about this, right? What is your connection to the topic you chose? So to have more details about the student's connection to the theme of beauty, please read the explanation in the worksheet. And also, it has a great message, but later on, once she was finished, the student realized that she had created a stereotype for women who like to wear makeup. So basically the video has two aspects. One is how slim, how skinny you are, and also the other one is makeup. She realized that she created a stereotype for these women because she seems to say that the women who like to wear makeup just to be perfect, not because they like it. It was too late for her to change her video, but she wanted me to let you know that she made that mistake so that you could learn from her experience. So on the website, you can watch this video made by Shiori in 2014. To break stereotypes without creating another one, I think the best advice I can give you is to take into account as many sides, as many aspects of the stereotype as possible, right? So if it's about people, look at all the people involved. If it's about a social issue, look at all the social aspects, and again, people also involved in it, right? So it is an important step in your project. Ask yourself the question, who is concerned by the stereotype you chose? And this is also part of the article you will write for this project. To push this topic of breaking stereotypes without creating another one, I'd like to remind you of the speech we watched by Emma Watson at the UN. And she also said something similar to what I just explained. She said, perceive gender on a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals. Having a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals makes your world less black and white, right? Or black or white. Here, that would be, if you have two sets of opposing ideals, this is what you have, black and white. Whereas if you use a spectrum, this is what you see here. You have all these different shades, right, of white and black. And that, I think, really helps in terms of breaking stereotypes without creating another one. Let's say we focus on the gay community. If there is no spectrum, then the images you might have of a gay man might be this, very sexy, wearing leather, or this, right? Two very preppy looking men holding each other. These are the two opposites, right? The sexy and the preppy. But what does it mean for gay men who are not like this, right? Who are more in the shades, in between? And what does it mean for non-gay men, right? Because I know a few non-gay men who actually like to dress preppy, and that doesn't mean they're gay. And also I know of a few non-gay men who like to wear leather, and believe me, that definitely doesn't mean they're gay, because usually they're bikers. So the very male image comes to mind here. So by having a spectrum, right, you can avoid these opposite sides, these extreme ideas about what is and what is not. Then you can allow people to be in between and hopefully allow them to be themselves. If we look at the lesbian side also, usually you have that image of a lesbian woman being really tough and almost looking like a man. But again, what does that mean for gay women? How about they just are not so masculine, just feminine? And is that a problem? And also, what about non-gay women who do enjoy dressing a bit more masculine, right? What does that mean for them? So again, when you have no spectrum but just opposite sides, you quickly and easily fall into stereotypes. And again, if you're trying to break a stereotype, you might just create or reinforce, make a stereotype stronger, right? And this is exactly the reason I actually chose the gay community, is because I want to share with you a wonderful TED Talk by Ayotilit Wright, and it's called 50 Shades of Gay. And this is very close to what she discovered doing her project for the gay community and human rights. So basically what she did is take pictures of people who cannot say they're 100% straight. And she started the project and had a lot of people to photograph in New York. But then she realized that her experience was flawed, was not perfect. She realized that she was putting thousands of shades, right? Again, remember shades here, of gayness in the single box of gay. She realized that her well-meaning project, meaning she wanted gay people to have human rights and she wanted to show that there are a lot of them outside, her project was actually almost working against itself. She realized that she was just reinforcing a stereotype about gay, and she didn't want to do this. And so she asked another question in the release form. So the release form is the paper that the people had to sign so that she could use their picture for her project. And she asked the people to identify themselves as gay on a scale from 1 to 100, right? So she wanted to take them out of the box, the single box of gay, right? She wanted to understand the shades of gayness. And this is what she discovered, that there are two main categories. So besides the fact that some people are completely gay, meaning they chose 100%, and people who are totally not gay, they chose 0%, there are two other main categories, which is the 3 to 20, so kind of gay, and then the 70 to 95, rather gay, right? And she realized that it's impossible to say you're either gay or you're not gay, because she realized with these two categories, there is a real spectrum of gayness, right? So something that would be, I don't know, maybe the 3 to 20, like here, and let's say the 70 to 95 right here. So the main message for me from her TED Talk is that a lot of people belong to a spectrum of gayness, right? It's not either or, it's somewhat. And so she refers to the spectrum of gayness as gray. That's why I've been using a gray scale here. The ultimate goal for Io is to show that the spectrum of gayness demonstrate that people cannot be judged on their sexuality alone. They are more than that, right? Humans are not just who they love. We have so many facets, so many sides to us, right? So she uses the word multifaceted, that we are complex, not just who do you love, this is who you are. So that's why I wanted to introduce her TED Talk, to show the importance of this spectrum, something you need to keep in mind with your project, and also showing that even if you have really good intention, even if your goal is to break a stereotype, you still have to be careful that you're not creating another one. Please watch the part of the TED Talk I selected, and that covers what I've just explained in this video.
At some point, I realized that my mission to photograph gays was inherently flawed, because there were a million different shades of gay. Here I was trying to help, and I had perpetuated the very thing I'd spent my life trying to avoid, yet another box. At some point, I added a question to the release form that asked people to quantify themselves on a scale of 1 to 100% gay. And I watched so many existential crises unfold in front of me. People didn't know what to do because they had never been presented with the option before. Can you quantify your openness? Once they got over the shock, though, by and large, people opted for somewhere between 70 to 95% or the 3 to 20% marks. Of course, there were lots of people who opted for a 100% one or the other, but I found that a much larger proportion of people identified as something that was much more nuanced. I found that most people fall on a spectrum of what I have come to refer to as gray. Let me be clear, though, and this is very important. In no way am I saying that preference doesn't exist. And I'm not even going to address the issue of choice versus biological imperative, because if any of you happen to be of the belief that sexual orientation is a choice, I invite you to go out and try to be gray. I'll take your picture just for trying. What I am saying, though, is that human beings are not one-dimensional. The most important thing to take from the percentage system is this. If you have gay people over here, and you have straight people over here, and while we recognize that most people identify as somewhere closer to one binary or another, there is this vast spectrum of people that exist in between.
So as a conclusion and a recommendation for your project, I would say that it is always helpful to think in terms of spectrum, right? So here again, this is a spectrum. Instead of two opposite sides, white and black, you have all these other shades, right? That makes the spectrum. The spectrum, I truly believe, helps you broaden, increase your horizon and your thinking. So let's think in terms of gray. We love gray.